2.
Hafaday, welcome everyone. The Committee on Health, Tourism, Historic Preservation, Land and Justice is now called to order. Today is Wednesday, September 2nd, 2020, and the time is 5:13 p.m. Notices for this confirmation hearing were disseminated via email to all senators and all main media broadcasting outlets on Wednesday, August 26th, and again on Monday, August 31st, 2020. The notice was also published in the Guam Daily Post on Wednesday, August 26th and Monday, August 31st, 2020. The general rules of conduct for tonight's hearing will be as follows. The Zoom meeting is hosted by the legislature's MIS and AV staff, and I thank them for their assistance. The host of this hearing will mute all Zoom participants until called upon by the chair. Members of the committee and or the legislature wishing to speak may indicate their desire to the chair through the in-app chat feature. Individuals testifying shall first be recognized by the chair before speaking and state their name for record-keeping purposes. The order of questioning shall begin with the chair, followed by the panel of senators, and each member will be allowed to pose a question to an individual testifying for a round and will be provided another round if needed. Questions and testimony shall be confined to the substance or nature of the agenda. The personal inference as to the character or the motive of any senator or any individual testifying is not permitted. Violations of this general conduct rule will result in removal from the public hearing by the host. So we have 3 agenda items for tonight, all confirmations. The first is the appointment of John F. Regis to serve as a member of the Chamorro Land Trust Commission for a term length of 3 years, from April 11th, 2020 to April 10th, 2023, to fill the seat of Amanda Santos, whose term has expired. The second item on our agenda is the appointment of Jeffrey B. Rios to serve as a member of the Guam Ancestral Lands Commission for a term length of 4 years, from March 27, 2020 to March 26, 2024, to fill the unexpired term of Anthony J. Piata, whose term has expired. The third item on our agenda is the reappointment of Maria G. Cruz to serve as a member of the Guam Ancestral Lands Commission for a term length of 4 years, from March 27, 2020 to March 26, 2024. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of my colleagues tonight, starting with my Vice Chair, Senator Sabina Perez. Also would like to acknowledge the presence of Senator Will Castro. Thank you, senators, for being here tonight. All right, so we'll begin now with the appointment of John F. Regis, again, to the Chamorro Land Trust Commission for a term length of 3 years, from April 11, 2020 to April 10, 2023, to fill the seat of Amanda Santos, whose term has expired. Before we hear from the panel, I would like to just provide some background on the history and mission of the Chamorro Land Trust. The late Senator Paul Bordallo was the author of the Chamorro Land Trust Commission Act. He had the vision and the fortitude and political will to get this passed 45 years ago in 1975. The act was passed unanimously by the 12th Guam legislature. After passage and for about 20 years, no governor would implement the act, until Inacion Chamorro, under the leadership of defunto Senator Anyet Santos and defunto Magalahi Ed Beneventi and their wives, families, and many others, led an education and advocacy campaign urging the governor at that time to implement the trust. The governor refused to implement, and a suit was filed by attorneys Mike Phillips, Mike Bordallo, and myself, and this was a pro bono lawsuit without fees on behalf of Nacion Chamorro to compel implementation of the act. The Attorney General at that time had argued that the trust was unconstitutional. A hearing on the lawsuit was held while hundreds led a protest and camp out on the grounds of Adelup. A decision was made in 1992 by then Judge Benjamin Cruz that the law was valid and ordered the governor to implement the act and appoint the first commissioners. Several years later, in 1995, when Angel Santos was a senator, he introduced the rules and regulations for the trust, which were slightly different than what the commissioners had originally written and controversial at the time. Again, he led hundreds in appearing before the legislature to urge lawmakers to adopt the rules, which they eventually did. With a few amendments over the years, the rules continue today. The Chamorro Land Trust Commission is responsible for the disposition of Chamorro homelands, pursuant to mandates to advance the social, cultural, and economic development and well-being of the Chamorro people by way of residential, agricultural, and commercial land distribution and economic assistance programs. It is the Commission's mission to carry on any activities necessary to inform and assist in obtaining maximum utilization of the lands, including development of the lands to their highest and best use in all phases of residential and agricultural leasing. So before we hear from the nominee tonight, welcome, Mr. Regis. We will first hear from those who have signed up to testify on your behalf. So we have a long list of people who are here signed in support of the nomination. And there are 3 who are going to provide oral testimony. So we have signed in Melanie Mendiola, Chief Executive Officer of KIDA, Dr. Christiana Santos Whitman, Attorney Genevieve P. Rapadas, Ramona Nelson, Janelle Timanglo, Attorney Andrew A. Perez, Alicia Santo Tomas, John and Maria Pangilinan Regis, Vincent P. Regis, Isa Koki, and Jesse Kenga. So we will now hear from Ramona Nelson, and then Isa Koki, and then Jesse Kenga. So Ramona, if you are ready, you may proceed.
Okay. All right, I'm new to the Zoom testimony, so let's see. All right, Hafaday Senator Terlaje, Hafaday Senator Perez, Hafaday Senator Castro, Guahusi Ramona Nelson. I'm testifying in support of the appointment of John Regis to serve as a member of the Chamorro Land Trust Commission. I've had the privilege of serving alongside John as a board member of the Guam Girl Scouts for the past 1.5 years. During this time, I've observed John's leadership skills as chairman of the board, and I can attest to his commitment in helping our island girls build courage, confidence, and character. As a board member, I've had the opportunity to witness John's ability to effectively communicate, as well as collaborate with numerous individuals within the Guam Girl Scouts, as well as with the executive director of USA Girl Scouts Overseas. Sorry, I'm reading this, so I'm trying to look at the Zoom too. Okay, let's see where I'm at, sorry. Moreover, John was instrumental in the seamless transition of our new executive director, and together they have been resourceful and diligent in planning, executing, as well as resolving issues that arise. In addition to the Guam Girl Scouts, I've also witnessed John's involvement in an array of other local initiatives and organizations, primarily John's dedication to the EFIT Run, which provides much needed support to Guam Cancer Care and the American Cancer Society. As an avid runner since high school, I'm simply amazed at the amount of work that John and his team selflessly put into making each EFIT run a success. The dedication and the ability to think outside the box when planning this family-friendly fun run and block party is extremely impressive. Lastly, I would like to highlight John's role as a member of the Commission on Decolonization and how it serves as yet another example of his dedication to our island and her people. Specifically, John contributed immensely to our plight for self-determination by co-chairing the Decolonization and Human Rights Conference nearly 1 year ago. This was at Sheraton. Thus, I'm confident that John's understanding of our colonial history and his involvement in our decolonization process will help make him an asset to the Chamorro Land Trust Commission. Overall, I consider John to be a trustworthy friend, and I truly believe that he will uphold the mission of the Chamorro Land Trust Commission. I know that he will act in the best interests of all Chamorro Land Trust recipients, as well as uphold the highest standards when it comes to managing Chamorro homelands. Tidos Masi for the opportunity to share my testimony. Sorry if I read that really fast.
That was perfect. Thanks. It was Masi Ramona.
Haguma.
We will now hear from Isa Koki.
Hi, everyone. Happy day, Chairwoman Terlaje, Senator Castro, Senator Perez. I think I saw Senator Shelton, and everyone here. Good afternoon. My name is Isa Koki, and I am here to provide testimony in support of John Regis's nomination to serve on the Chamorro Land Trust Commission. I have known John since 2015. I am the Assistant Controller in the Finance Office at Bank of Guam, and I've had many opportunities to work alongside John on various projects. Through my experiences, I have known John to be a trusted colleague that is poised, articulate, and makes prudent, impartial decisions. But more importantly than a colleague, John is a friend. He's an incredible person, and that is evident in both his professional and personal life. Since his return home in 2015, John was quick to kickstart the work needed to prepare Bank of Guam to move into the digital space. With the same excitement, he also dove right into his volunteer services with many nonprofit organizations in an effort to give back to the island he loves so deeply. John's character is admirable. It's giving and it is genuine. And this is manifest in his work with organizations like Ramona mentioned, the Guam Girl Scouts and Mercy Actions Marianas. In addition to his duties in his role as a digital strategy manager at Bank of Guam, John has spearheaded the bank's annual block party and 5K EFIT run for the last 4 years, which has helped to raise money and awareness for both American Cancer Society and Guam Cancer Care. John is also a public servant in his role and service on the Commission of Decolonization in the past year. With no time wasted, John co-chaired the first ever Decolonization and Human Rights Conference held on Guam. Under his leadership, the conference was a huge success. With over 350 participants, the conference brought together a wide array of civil rights pioneers from all over the world to share their experiences in their community in seeking self-determination and decolonization. I have seen John immerse himself in various roles that all center on giving back to the island community. He has an earnest willingness to serve. He is a trusted colleague and friend that I know will make competent, but more importantly, fair decisions as a member of this commission. Our land is very important to our people. It is part of many families' histories, stories, and culture. We are connected to it in so many ways, and it is crucial that those individuals, given the opportunity to administer our lands, be capable and competent to do so. I know John is just that. And for these reasons and so many others, I submit my support for his nomination. Sizos Masi.
Sizos Masi, Ms. Koki. Thank you. We'll now hear from Jesse Kenga. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Kenga. Before you begin, may I please acknowledge the presence of the Legislative Secretary, Senator Amanda Shelton. Thank you, Senator, for joining us. And Mr. Kenga, please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Actually, for the record, I'm the other twin. I'm Anthony. But it's okay.
My apologies. They wrote down Jesse here, but Mr. Anthony Kenga, thank you for joining us and thank you for providing testimony today. So please proceed.
Masi. Hafide, Madam Chair and committee members, my name is Anthony Kang, and I'm here to testify in favor of Mr. John F. Regis Jr.'s nomination to serve as a member of the Chamorro Land Trust Commission. I believe we can all agree that John's nomination packet describes a man who is well-credentialed and prepared to handle any task placed before him. I've known John professionally since 2016, and for nearly half a decade, I have witnessed John demonstrate excellence in areas of strategic management, vision development, and capacity building amongst his peers. Moreover, John's pledge to his community is evidenced by his impressive service as a leader to the various organizations listed by both Ms. Koki and Ms. Nelson. He continues to be a staunch advocate for the development of young people on our island and in the region. I have a profound sense of admiration for John. Outside of his impressive resume, John is an individual who truly cares for our island and its people. He has fostered shared learning and skill development through community programs, as we mentioned earlier. We know that a highly qualified person such as John would naturally receive lucrative opportunities to work and live a comfortable life outside of Guam. Yet here John is, joining us this evening with a commitment to construct that vision for himself and others. He reminds us all of the path our ancestors have helped create, as well as our duty to be good stewards of this life. John represents the spirit of leadership through service. He understands the importance of delivering value to all stakeholders and represents a demographic of young leaders devoted to improving the quality of life for all. I offer my sincere support to John on his nomination. I believe he will add tremendous value to the Chamorro Land Trust Commission and will help our leaders move its mission ever forward. Sidus Masi, Madam Chair.
Sidus Masi, Mr. Kenga. I recognize that all of you who have testified on John's behalf are leaders in your own right. And so thank you. It's a very meaningful testimony. I'm going to also acknowledge that we have written testimony in support of the nomination from Mr. Vincent P. Regis. And so I'm going to ask my colleagues if they have any questions for the panel before we hear from the nominee. Colleagues, any questions for the panel? If you do, just proceed. Senator Perez, Vice Chair.
Thank you, Senator Terlaje. Hafaday, John. So I think, as you know, you're filling Tana Amanda's position. And, considering...
I'm so sorry, Senator Perez. We're going to hear from the nominee in just 1 minute. Yeah, so
Okay.
I was checking if any senators have any questions for the other panel members. I mean, the other persons who testified at this point.
No questions at this time. Thank you, Madam
All right.
Chair.
Senator Castro?
No questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Shelton?
No, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, then we will proceed to the nominee. Mr. Regis, thank you for accepting the appointment to the commission. We're looking forward to your testimony tonight, so you may proceed.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Buenas and half a day, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, Senator Perez, Senator Castro, Senator Shelton, and Gatson, the Manatango. Guahu si John Regis Jr. Si Duas Masi puri tempon mizu paguges na huntan confirmation pari commission inangokon tano tomorrow. Magavzo zengov humit dizo para estina of putindad para bao setbi is latta, is lakko, tani tauta. Zengin maulik toru mo na estina carrera, tema prebadzo, by who nai toru in that sinyahu pare tanat lafotna iktetsu commission. Bula tano then bula tauta menisita tano. Especialmente mas gidurantin estina taki nita padedisi I coronavirus. Megaya oportunidad para tanai tauta para uma susteni in kanu niya. Megaya oportunidad para tanai business siya para uma usay tano para finaulik kitauta. Megaya lokui oportunidad para tatabay entelo politika siya. Pues malas at fandanya man matoto para manaulik tauta kiesti na komisyon. Good evening, Madam Chair and Senators of 35th Guam Legislature, colleagues and friends. Again, my name is John Regis, and thank you for your time this afternoon. I'm humbled by the opportunity to serve our island as a considered member of the Chamorro Land Trust Commission, and pray that I be confirmed. I want to serve on the Chamorro Land Trust Commission to continue the good work that has been done in the past years and, of course, most recent years. Guahan. Some may think her small, but she's abundant. Land just being one of her ways. Land that was intended for her people and their prosperity. And there are a lot of our people who need that land, especially during these unprecedented times we are in with the coronavirus pandemic and the uncertain futures ahead. There are a lot of opportunities to provide our people with land to be able to provide for themselves or the community, especially with our island's strive to economic sustainability and food sovereignty. There are opportunities for businesses to utilize that land for the betterment of our island infrastructure or to provide our people with job opportunities. There's also a great opportunity to keep the politics out of the commission. I bring forth experience from the private sector, leading organizations here on island and in America, in the United States, in making decisions using data, turning data into insight and insight into action, being decisive when it comes to making decisions, yet being impartial, that impact the livelihood and well-being of both customers and employees. I also bring forth my experience in leading nonprofits as the board president for the Guam Girl Scouts and the Sisters of Mercy's Mercy Action Marianas Pillar. I also serve as a commission member on the Commission on Decolonization. I believe that there are certain charisms that only service of others can train. I appreciate the opportunities I've been afforded to serve my community and would enjoy the opportunity to continue to serve in a different capacity if appointed to this position. I have learned a lot serving on the Commission on Decolonization and most especially co-chairing the Fajita Conference held a year ago. The international conference centered around decolonization and human rights and brought together an amazing array of civil rights pioneers, elected officials, scholars, and community activists from around the world, spanning from our neighboring islands of Sinamai, Belau, FSM, to Australia, US Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, Hawaii, American Samoa, and West Papua. There was an insurmountable exchange of knowledge on decolonization and indigenous peoples, their daily struggles with preservation of ancestral lands, individual prosperity, and basic human rights. Serving as the president of the Guam Girl Scouts and the Sisters of Mercy's Mercy Action Marianas fuels my desire every day and of passion of helping our people. These nonprofits exude the Nafa Maulik spirit of our culture, building our girls from a young age to be inspired to be anything their hearts desire and emit the very essence of being a girl, G-I-R-L. G for go-getter, innovator, R, risk taker, and L, leader. And supporting works of mercy that fosters human dignity by serving the less fortunate in our community with Mercy Action. The very essence that also drives me in my professional career, both here at home and abroad. In closing, I look forward to working with my fellow commission members and the CLTC director in going through the due diligence of approving impending leases. There's over 11,000 acres of land in the trust, and now more than ever, we need to move forward with leases, striking a balance between agricultural, residential, and commercial leases that will most benefit our island community, but also benefit the commission to be progressive when it comes to infrastructure, undeveloped, or inaccessible land. Imagine a Guahan with sustainable farming or even further food sovereignty. Imagine a Guahan that provides for those first-time homeowners and establishing progressive partnerships with institutions to make their dreams of home ownership a reality. And imagine a Guam that supports up-and-coming entrepreneurs and businesses to collaborate that benefits both the economy and land development. Lastly, and probably what I'm most passionate about, I look forward to being a part of a committee whose principles, authority, and responsibility is to protect and preserve the resources of Guahan and ensure stability of her resources. I grew up knowing that a leader can balance economic prosperity and still advocate for the people's rights. That standing up for what is right is nothing to be ashamed of or back down from. I look forward to being a part of a committee whose very mission and principles I already very strongly believe in and live by. Si Dios maasit para itempon mizo pago, Husen agradeci esta oportunidad para ofrecer mais para iminaula ki commission, para iminaula ki tautauta, then para iminaula ki tanota. Thank you.
Si Dios maasi, Mr. Regis, I very much appreciate your testimony. I want to note that your colleagues and friends pointed out some of your accomplishments, but your nomination packet also shows us that you are the current Vice President of Business Intelligence at the Bank of Guam and your former Commercial Operations Senior Manager at Sprint Communications. And you are the 2019 Reina A. Letty Guam Young Professional of the Year and current member. Congratulations. And of course, your membership on the boards that you've talked about. Again, I want to thank you for your willingness to serve in this capacity. The work of this commission is, it takes a lot of hours. The other board members, they tell me that when they have meetings, because they have to deal with general business, sometimes standard operating procedures, and then they also have to get into the details of client concerns or lessee concerns, and they were spending pretty much the entire afternoon for their board meetings. And so I know that you're going to have to invest a lot of time in this. So I am very grateful that someone in your capacity is willing to put in that type of time, and that this is something that, as you say, is close to your heart, and that you want to serve the people of Guam in this capacity. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions to put on the record. Do you have any continuing business or other conflicts of interest that may affect your ability to perform your duties as a commission member?
No, ma'am.
Will there be any challenges to your attending commission meetings, considering your current profession and involvements?
No, ma'am.
The Chamorro Land Trust has several issues that have plagued it for years, and some of these include funding for infrastructure, as you said, and really just ensuring that the priority or the handing out of leases is in conformance, with fairness, because we have seen some incidences where they did not go in the order that people had signed up. And so we still have a backlog of people who have signed up since 1995 when the rules were adopted. And so those are our priority, of course, to take care of those families who've been waiting very long. And the issue is getting the land ready to be leased out in a more efficient way, as opposed to leasing it out and then they can't use it because there's no infrastructure and there's no access, or there's all kinds of those types of issues. And so we hope for the residential properties to solve all of that together. And I agree with you that I also share your vision that these properties can be self-sustaining food-wise, and the law allows for like cottage home industries on these properties right now, and so that they would be able to support themselves. There are particular issues that are facing the commission, but before I get to those, are you aware of the recent Chamorro Land Trust Resolution number 2020-02, which was a declaration of the principles of the Chamorro Land Trust Commission relative to its authority and responsibilities to the Chamorro Land Trust? It was drafted by the former chairperson, Pika Ferrin, presented to the commission at her last meeting, and it declares 17 principles which have been informed by the enabling legislation and the lessons learned, hard lessons, I think, through 45 years of existence of the trust. Did you have an opportunity to review that resolution or those principles, and are you able or willing to uphold those, or do you have any comment on that?
Yes, I did have a chance to review it. Maybe not as thoroughly as I would like, but I did have a chance to review it. I mean, if you look at those principles, at the very crux of it all is, ensuring that you follow the laws and guidelines, right, in any of the leases or distribution of the land. There's a lot of it's inherent in me, right, to always take the time to do your due diligence, to ensure that you're following the rules, regulations, and authorities, and seeking assistance, right, and clarification if needed. I mean, I do work at a bank, right? I work at Bank of Guam, and we are guarded and guided by regulations. And it's always prudent and in our favor to make sure that we follow those guidelines and regulations. So yes, there will be a lot of opportunities to learn on a case-by-case basis. There'll be a lot of opportunities to make sure that we are following those guidelines, and also there should be opportunities for us to be able to explore, right? How can we ensure that we have a balance, right, and not necessarily having these regulations trip us or have us trip over it, because again, if at the end of the day it makes sense for our people to utilize those lands, then there should if there's a will, there's a way. So that's kind of my thoughts on those principles that has been enacted.
Are you saying some of them might get in the way? Is that what you were saying? Sorry, I might have misunderstood that. But
no, so if there's an opportunity in front of us, and there are barriers, right, based on these rules and regulations, if we do our due diligence, and it's prudent for us to expand in those, to be able to make it a successful partnership with, if it's a land lease for commercial or agricultural, then we go through the right channels to make that happen.
All right. So the trustees serve in a fiduciary capacity to the trust, and they are, by law, it's designed that they are going to be independent of the governor, independent of, political interference, and really all of their actions are supposed to be for the benefit of the beneficiaries. So the beneficiaries of the trust are the residential leaseholders and the agricultural leaseholders, and the people who are applicants for those leases as well. The courts have recognized recently, again, that the Chamorro Land Trust is a land restoration program. It was designed as mitigation for the land takings and the displacement of people when their land was taken. And so this was supposed to give them an opportunity to build homes, first and foremost, residential, and to thrive by having a homeland, a place that they will always have, no matter what else happens with the land on Guam. The trust has suffered from not enough money to survey or register all of its properties, and they are not able to lease properties that are not registered. So they're making some progress in this, but did you have any ideas of how that could be improved?
I think there's a plethora of ideas that could go that we could explore. But I think there's in just kind of some of the research I've done prior to accepting the appointment, and even prior to the confirmation hearing, there are economic development, right? So yes, primarily for residential, yes, and agriculture, but I mean there should be opportunities from the economic development side, on the commercial side, right? Because what we want to be able to try and do is to kind of take an example, the ancestral lands, right? So Gita works with ancestral lands for commercial leases, right? And earns upwards of $1 million, and it makes it more of a sustainable agency. So we can apply some of that, or learn some of that, how we can apply into the Chamorro Land Trust, where we make money on one side to help develop the infrastructure on the other side, right? And kind of have that that balance of residential, agricultural, and commercial. That's kind of just one idea. Another one is supporting the not necessarily it only being a cost center, and having monies come in from appropriations and going to the legislature, and however that works, right? And other ways to help the agency to become sustainable, to pump it back into the work of the agency, and the commission, approved by the commission, to help support those infrastructures and plans, right? To hand out more leases. So at a high level, again, just from what I've kind of been talking and trying to do some research, and that's kind of one idea I think that will serve us to kind of look into. Yeah.
All right. When we talk about commercial leases for the property, it actually was not the original intent of the law to have commercial leases of the property. The law intended residential areas and agriculture areas, and licenses for public purposes, such as if you build a residential area and you need a school or you need a gas station, or those things that would serve that community's interest because you were building, residential areas. That it's a more recent addition to the law to allow these commercial leases, and so the commercial lease law is relatively new, but I think it's still designed that the commercial lease is to, as you described, to support the residential and agricultural leases, but the purpose of the trust is not to I guess max out on commercial leases. It's supposed to be only for those properties that are not able to be leased out as residences or agriculture. So we do have property like that because either they're contaminated or something, or they're in the middle of an industry that are not suitable for residences that we do consider. So because there are commercial leases, there's a huge push and pull, I'm going to describe it as that, for these commercial properties. Even the government of Guam wants to take some of the inventory of the trust and use it for its purposes. And, we've seen the University of Guam want some of the property for its purposes. And of course, all the agencies would like Chamorro Land Trust land for its purposes. And then the commercial leases, so the goal of the trustees is supposed to be to get the highest and best value of these properties. So I think, right now they use appraisals, but there's certain new industries, I guess, that they found some challenges in this type of regards. I'm hoping that your business experience is going to, assist the trust in this area. For example, the lease of submerged lands is a big opportunity for Guam and the trust. And we want to make sure that they receive maximum value if they can in these areas. And are you familiar with those issues of competing interests, for example, for submerged lands?
I'm aware, but I can't say I've dug into that, and did a lot of research on that. But Madam Chair, I completely understand, right? And ensuring that yes, the primary is residential and agricultural, and the highest and best use is always going to be right for the best interests of the best beneficiaries always. But what I also believe, right, is that if there are other government agencies that are interested in Chamorro Land Trust land, then we got to find ways in where the collaboration is there and maximize, right, and maximize that partnership where it pays the beneficiaries. Right? Again, I'm learning. There's a lot for me to learn, but just kind of in your in what you've shared, those are some of the things where my wheels are turning on how we then make that partnership happen and collaboration happen, in a business transaction where it's beneficial for both parties. Maximum value, should be derived and go towards the beneficiaries always. Again, to your point, it's the role and it's what the trust is there for.
Thank you. I'm going to open it up now to my fellow colleagues, and I'd like to recognize the presence of Senator Terlaje. Thank you, Senator, for joining us. And I'll start with my Vice Chair, Senator Sabina Perez. You have the floor.
Zeus Masi, Madam Chair. And thank you, John, for accepting this nomination. Like the chairwoman mentioned, these are long hours. Have you ever sat through the Chamorro Land Trust meetings? Have you ever sat through them?
I've not. No, unfortunately, I've not. I've not.
Okay, yeah, so like the chairman mentioned,
I have seen, right, through the media, and also firsthand account of how long these meetings last.
so are you confident that you'll be able to attend these meetings, considering your current position at Bank of Guam as a VP of Business Intelligence? Is that correct?
Yeah. So actually, I had just moved into a different role, vice president of and digital strategy manager. But yes, to answer your question, yes.
Okay. Okay, great. That's good to know, because yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of contention when it comes to our Tomorrowland Trust lands. In regards to regards to Resolution 2020-02, it was stated in that resolution that the residential leasing is the priority of the commission. What plan do you have to ensure that takes place, or what is your vision for that in regarding ensuring that these applicants that have been waiting many, many years, actually are able to avail themselves of these leases?
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. So, I mean, I've not had a chance to really take a deep dive, aside from just conversation on the impending leases, right? But I firmly believe that once we come in as a commission, and I know there's probably other new commission members, right? There's going to have to take it from the beginning and kind of learn and understand what's there, what's impending, what are the barriers, right, to make things happen. And then secondly, once you kind of understand the lay of the land, then you come up with a strategy, right? And of course, if and knowing that residential is priority, how do we get those barriers out of the way? How do we make things happen? And I'm pretty sure it's not going to be as easy, given it's been 45 years and it took 20 years to actually get it implemented. But that's kind of what I feel is what I'm there for, right? Is to take the time to get my feet wet, to understand the current struggles, to understand what's working, what's not. And again, with this resolution that has been brought forth by the previous commission and chair, I mean, I think it takes it in the right direction, right? Ensuring that we have a guideline, we have something that will guide us to make sure that we're not missing anything. And if we can, expedite resources or to pay for the infrastructure for serving, those are optimal. But where are we going to get that money, right? So that's kind of where, again, learning. I will do my due diligence and learn everything I can to ensure that if you expand one side of the leasing, then you're going to benefit on this side, right? And what is that balance? So, yeah, that's kind of at a high level is where I think I would start.
Thank you for that response. In regards to the commercial leasing, so there are some renewals that are coming up next year. Have you heard anything about some of the issues related to the commercial leasing? And have you thought about any kind of solutions to address them?
So no, and I don't think I know enough in regards to some of the renewals coming up. But what I think, and again, this is my understanding, please correct me if I'm wrong, that for commercial, right, there's a little bit of I guess maybe lack of knowledge or interest when it comes to the commercial leasing in regards to the 5-year limit. And then anything after that needs or requires legislative approval, right? And so I hope I understood that correctly. So, again, maybe to the extent of what I know, again, without having done a lot of any additional due diligence of who's expiring and not having that information, but, just maybe to start, right, understand who's expiring, what are some of the barriers, again, that is that they may or may not renew, and or what are some of the new commercial leases or potential leases, and then maybe getting a better understanding of what this 5-year limit means, and anything after that that may kind of turn some of the businesses off, or whoever wants a commercial lease off. But yeah, I think that's kind of my approach to that. And it may not have answered your question directly, but I don't have, that knowledge or firsthand knowledge yet, to be specific.
Okay, thank you for that. So another one of the, if I can refer back to the resolution that was just recently passed on the Chamorro Land Trust Commission. So there's one item that says commissioners shall not succumb to political pressure for any reason. And being on Guam, as you know, there's a lot of political pressure all around, and especially the Chamorro Land Trust Commission. How are you going to implement something like this? I mean, how do you know, basically what are your guiding principles in ensuring that you will not succumb to political pressure?
Well, I think first and foremost, my integrity, right? I built my career, on all my experiences and successes, obviously, with my integrity intact. I come from I have some political background, and what I've learned, right, first and foremost, is that you're there to serve the people, and that legacy that has been instilled in my heart each and every day. Politics has no play into what it is, or doing what is the right thing, and that is what guides me every day, and I attribute that to my success. So it's just flat out my integrity.
Okay, thank you for that. So I guess just a follow up. So something you mentioned earlier is that one of the things that you would like to see, or at least one of the ways you're going to proceed forward, is that you're going to balance economic prosperity and protecting the resources of Guam. So can you kind of expound on what that is? Because I feel that, when you're talking about serving the people, I think this needs to be kind of detailed a little bit more to understand, where you're coming from, and so that we can kind of understand that, what you're doing is along those guidelines. And if you can just expound upon that more.
Serving, again, the establishment of the commission, serving the Chamorro people and its the beneficiaries, right? And that balance. You have in every aspect of business, there's the people side and there's the business side, and you cannot lose the sensitivity of the people, because the people is what makes you successful. The people is what takes you from point A to point B and to get the job done. If you don't have their interests, their best interests in the forefront, then you're not gonna be successful. All my success is attributed to my team, and I put all my coins in that bag, because my success is not really my success; it's my team's success. In the Chamorro Land Trust, right? When you look at it in that perspective, we have these principles and guidelines, and we're just gonna have to find the quickest way to get our people the land, and that's gonna be first and foremost. So, that's kind of what my guiding principles. Those are what guides me each and every day. And if you have the people's interests in the forefront, and the best interest of the people in your heart, and you lead with your heart, then that's what's always going to prevail, is doing the right thing for their best interests.
Okay, so an example would be maybe if you have something on your desk, say a commercial lease and residential leasing, how would is there what happens if they are in conflict with each other? Are you going to, what is your approach to that?
So if priority is residential, then you start with the residential. If there's a conflict, or there's a conflict between the residential and commercial, I would do the due diligence to ensure, right, that we're going to do the right thing. And the due diligence is necessary. If we have to go out to our attorney, whatever the case may be. But residential is always going to be first.
Okay, thank you. And are you familiar with the settlement that was made with the Chamorro Land Trust? Have you read the settlement regarding the lawsuit?
From the most recent case, the one that just in the most recent?
Yes.
I've not immersed myself in it in its entirety, unfortunately.
Okay. So you can't comment on it at this time. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, what I know, right, and kind of what I've the high level reading that I've done is that, it basically it doesn't make the I guess the beneficiaries as Chamorro discriminatory, and that that's kind of what's going to help us proceed. That these lands will go to Chamorros. So that's kind of the best without immersing myself completely and really knowing the full case from credit to brief. That's the best of my knowledge that I can share.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Regis, and thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chair. We'll now go to Senator Will Castro.
Si Diyos masi, Madam Chair, at mas gahilo no hu supuputesti na kandidato sa manggagihit na ki komisyon para no estado para I tono I Mansamoro. Za no magahit pud guahu tunanas ki fionnya no I kandidatnya denansi lokwe no malatis tina kandidato za pud guahu lokwe Madam Chair sen malik no senentenya. So I just wanted to verbalize my unqualified support for Mr. Regis. I've had several sidebars with him on the Commission on Decolonization. And not to pull his partisan string, I can tell you that he's always walked that straight line and always made sure I stayed on my side of the partisan spectrum. But I do appreciate his candor. I appreciate his contribution to the discussion on the Commission. And I wholeheartedly support his confirmation. So thank you, John Regis, for accepting the nomination. You have your work cut out for you, and God bless you on your journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Castro.
Thank you, Senator. And now the Legislative Secretary Shelton. Senator Shelton. All right, and Senator Minority Leader Terlaje.
Sidious Masi, Madam Chair. I greatly apologize for my being late, rushing from the session here, and I really wanted to hear what Ramona Nelson had to say, and Anthony. I know these two individuals are very respected in the community, and their comments, so what I'll have to do is just rewind the tape, after this is done to hear it. But so John, I wanted to, if you have them supporting you, then that says a whole lot, especially, they, like I said, they're very well respected in the community. I'd like to thank you first for stepping to the plate, most especially. But, for me, my questions are usually always asked by the oversight chair and Senator Sabina Perez. They're very thorough. And it's almost like you had to go through a whole test to, sitting here going through a whole test. But they mean very well, and I think it's giving you a lot of homework. That's for sure to go to look at. But for me, it's about transparency. It's so important that you're transparent and having a website. I mean, your generation is all about websites and putting them up. So. Make sure, please, that you stay that course, John, to be very transparent, especially for the public to see and view. I don't know if you've been asked this question, but John, why this particular board? Why the Chamorro Land Trust board? Why do you want to serve on this one?
I think the simplest answer to that. With all the boards or with all the opportunities that I have, I just feel that it's kind of my inherent duty. As an educated Chamorro man, as a son of Guam, I've always wanted to make sure that I serve our people. With the Chamorro Land Trust, I feel that, I mean, there's just knowing the history and where it's come, it just really drives and fuels that my passion, right? This would be a huge opportunity to serve our people. You know, given our current times, right? I mean, who would have ever expected where we're at today? But I'm hearing, you know, in our community, there's just so much hurt and economic hurt. And imagine if we can help support that. You know, there's new buzzwords out there, right? Food sovereignty, you know, farming sustainability, giving those opportunities to our people. It's all just really tying in kind of that, the very essence of what I love to do is help people. So that's kind of why, when I was afforded the opportunity to make a choice between CLTC and another board, another commission. I know it's a board, within, you know, the government. My gut told me to go with Chamorro Land Trust. So.
Well, I wish you the very, very best. That answer is a very good answer. To be able to help people, especially to provide them a home, you know, a foundation for them to grow and grow their family. It's probably going to be one of the greatest feelings once you get into the board and you make that happen for our people. So thank you again for serving, John, and good luck to you.
Cool. Thank you, Senator Tarigui.
Thank you, Senator. Again, it's going to be tough. I remember, you know, the trust by law been independent, right? It's governed by its own trustees. They hire the director, and in the past, maybe, I don't know, 10 years, the trust was combined with the Department of Land Management and the Ancestral Lands Commission, run by a single director. And I'm glad the governor separated them out, because I was worried that the trust was becoming the land bank for government needs. When the court, I was so very glad when I saw the court decision, because the court, or, you know, the settlement, because they've made it very clear that the trust, they reminded us all, and I think the lawyers did a very good job of reminding the courts that this program is for a specific set of beneficiaries. It is not to create, you know, the economy for Guam. That's a side benefit, but its original goal, it's because people were displaced. And we've seen the generational impact of this displacement from land, and how people who before the war were thriving, after the war were not thriving, and continue today to live in poverty. Poverty. I mean, I think it's telling, even when you look at Tizen. Some of the ancestral landowners got their property back, but it's been so long since they were able to have property that it's going to take generations for them to come back, you know, full strength, to be able to do on those properties what those who did not lose land have been able to do, and to build their families up for generations now. I know that your Uncle Ben Pangilinan was staunch advocate for this Chamorro Land Trust, but he was technically not eligible for it under the statute for Guam, but he advocated nonetheless, because he knew, and I remember he had a very famous saying in one of his speeches, his eloquent speeches, about if we take care of the land will take care of us. I think that, to me, is the Chamorro Land Trust. It's to take care of us, not maybe us who don't need anything. It's for those in Guam that I feel should not be living in as a result of dispossession over many years. And that's why we don't just take the property and sell it, and get the highest and best use or lease it all out. It's because we are trying to mitigate generations of dispossession and poverty. And so I am looking forward to your service on this board, and I think it's going to be difficult because I know you're a business person and you probably know everybody who's vying for these leases. And I think that's one of the toughest parts of the job. And I saw that with the other board members over the years. And I see it in the resolution they recently adopted. It's kind of like they're making vows, to remind themselves at every meeting that they are going to best for these beneficiaries, these dispossessed people who have the Chamorros who have lost land because of land takings, huge amounts of land takings. And so, this is not a full remedy, but it's a mitigation that was patterned in homelands in the 70s. And so I still have a lot of faith in it that it's going to, it's going to work. I think we really need our best and our brightest on this board because we're developing residential areas. And so we want them to thrive, as you've described, and we want everything that a residential area could want. We want good schools in these areas. We want good water, good infrastructure. The case for the Chamorro Land Trust properties. Unfortunately, I think they most of them suffer from a lack of infrastructure. So we are going to work together on this, and I think you've got your work cut out. So again, I thank you for being willing to take on this work and to commit to this to this very deep, I don't know how else to describe it, but it's like a deep commitment that we're going to have to really protect this trust, because the trust is one of these things that they've tried to raid over the years and, convince the trustees that, this will help all those other people on Guam, or this will help, a certain factor of businesses on Guam. But we always have to remember who it is it was designed to help, and what was that injustice that it's trying to remedy. And again, I'm very thankful for those who have testified. I know most of you, so I'm very happy to see you here testifying and reminding us of John's skills and his experience and his commitment. So I very much appreciate those factors for this position. Mr. Regis, did you want to add anything else before we end this confirmation here? Or did any of my colleagues have any other questions, first of all? Any of my colleagues? Or if not, Mr. Regis, if there's anything else.
Yeah, I just
Please
wanted to just end and just thank you again, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, and the other senators of the 35th Guam Legislature for taking the time. I appreciate the time. I appreciate your presence here, and as well with my colleagues and my friends for taking the time in support of this. I mean, I think I just want to leave off with, I will be dedicated, and I will make sure that the best interests of our people is what's going to drive me in this commission, and that I want to make sure that Chamorros get their land. I want to make sure that if at the end of the day push comes to shove, we'll make sure that the people, our people, is at the forefront. Thank you.
Mrs. Masi. I also want to take this time to acknowledge that you're filling the seat of Tanamanda Santos, who had served on the commission for 9 years. And so she has a legacy of advocating for this commission and for protecting this commission. And of course, she was able to serve after her son passed away in his legacy. And so I just wanted to acknowledge her and on all her service tonight as well. And I wish you the best, and we all wish you the best. And so we are here to help you. We are, I agree with you. I think, you know, you were going to, how do they call it? There's a lot to learn when the commission that you're going to jump into is in the middle of a lawsuit. It's in the middle of, you know, all kinds of issues, and some of them new, some of them very long-standing. So there's a tremendous amount of work. And dank u na si Diyos maasita.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, it is now 6:19 p.m. and we're going to consider the appointment of Mr. John Rages, duly heard. We'll now move to the next item on our agenda. We have 2 appointments to the Guam Ancestral Lands Commission, and I'd like to recognize the presence of the Director of the Ancestral Lands Commission, Mr. John Birch. Thank you for being here. And so first, we will hear the appointment of Maria G. Cruz. She is a reappointment, so she served on this commission before. And before I open it up for the panel, I'd like to just read the Ancestral Lands has a huge mission, but I'm just going to read excerpts from it to remind everyone what it is we're, you know, what's the type of position that we are confirming tonight. The Ancestral Lands Commission is made up of ancestral land owners, and they are to establish and maintain 5 separate registries for the purposes of recording accurate information in the settlement of ancestral claims. One is the Original Landowners Registry. This is a listing of all lands taken under the names of owners of record at the time of taking whose properties were confiscated or condemned by the United States of America or by the government of Guam on or after January 1930, as well as other pertinent location and ownership information in relation to the property. The Original Landowners Registry shall be used for the purpose of confirming an applicant's property claim for future extinguishment upon receipt of just compensation as defined by this chapter. The second registry that they have to compile is the Excess Lands Registry, and that is a listing of all lands that have been declared excess by the federal government or the government of Guam, including all lands that may be declared excess in the future. This registry shall be used for the purpose of identifying a specified lot or lots of land with which the commission may use as just compensation in extinguishing ancestral claims. The third registry is a claims registry, and that is a listing of all claims to ancestral title filed by applicants. The fourth is a conditional awards registry. It's a listing of awards of just compensation. And the fifth is the Ancestral Title Registry. This is a listing of applicants granted land title in return for the surrender of all their ancestral property claims. The commission shall investigate, record, file, report, and respond to requests by ancestral land claimants for remedy, including the government of Guam, whose land was taken by the United States or by the government of Guam on or after January 1930. Remedy includes just compensation, which for purposes of this chapter is defined as limited to the return of land or access to landlocked lots across public lands, if the public lands block access to private property. And second, the commission shall establish, according to the AAA Administrative Adjudication Law, written procedures for extinguishment of claims, award of just compensation, and recordation of ancestral land title. as well as other rules. So this ancestral lands, it has a similar purpose to the Chamorro Land Trust in that it too was established by the government of Guam to remedy a past injustice, which was land taking by the United States government or by the government of Guam. And it was designed to return these lands to the ancestral land owners. So this commission has it's like a tribunal role. They have to investigate, research, and make findings as to, claims. Whose land was it? Was it taken? And who is entitled to it now? And then they actually will pass the title to those people. So it takes, again, a lot of work to work on this commission. It takes a sense of justice. You have to stay focused on what you're there for. This, again, is for ancestral land owners, not for the benefit of anyone else. And we have a lot of landowners whose land has not been returned by the federal government. So this commission has also been tasked to try to bring some type of justice to those landowners who have not yet, and it's looking likely may never see their lands returned. And the government has tried to bring them justice as well by authorizing this commission to try to find ways. For example, the Tizen landowners whose land was returned by the federal government, yet kept by the government of Guam because it sits under the airport runways and the airport facility. So those are the types of property we're talking about, and that I feel are the biggest challenges facing this commission right now. And I want to acknowledge that this ancestral lands law, of course, comes on the back of return of excess lands and the fight for the return of excess lands, which again, these battles, we are sitting on the shoulders of people who have fought these battles for us. Angel Santos, jumping over the fence, and all the Nation Chamorro, our Congressman Robert Underwood in the past, who had set up a process in the federal government, passed law to ensure a process for ancestral land, got his colleagues in the United States Congress to recognize the injustice and try to remedy that through these laws and through the return of excess land in an expedited fashion to Guam. Many other of our leaders, Congressman Berdalio, who was there when they did return certain pieces of excess land, and the Ancestral Lands Commission prior to today, who have worked diligently over the years and continue to compile lists of land that they believe excess that should be returned. And when we were having discussions on, the military buildup, and the Department of Defense had agreed to have a net, not to take any more land for this buildup, that their use of the land would have a net neutral, I guess, effect. So they would not expand their footprint or their takings of land on Guam. And at that time, they had promised to return excess land. And so the Ancestral Lands Commission had made a list of lands that could be returned, and we still continue our efforts to get those lands returned. All right, so Ms. Cruz, sorry for that long introduction, but sometimes, new generations, I just like to remind them all, in case they're listening, about, what you've been through to get to this point. And I know it's taken a lot of hard work by each of these ancestral land commissioners. All right, Ms. Cruz, we're on you now, and I will ask if there's anyone to testify on your behalf. I'm sorry, I need to check with my staff. Staff, if you can read the list of those who signed up to testify on behalf of Ms. Cruz, or if we should start with Ms. Cruz. Mr. Birch? All right, we'll begin with the director. Director Birch, you may begin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I'll speak on behalf of both nominees from the governor for our ancestral lands. Okay, so
All right,
good
so
evening. Yes.
let me just state their names then. So we're talking about Maria Cruz, and second nominee is
Jeffrey Reyes.
Jeffrey B. Reyes. Jesus Masi.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Birch. Please.
Okay, thank you and good evening, everyone. Madam Chair Terlaje, Vice Chair Perez, Senator Tadigui, and any other senators who may be present at this time. My name is John Birch. I'm the acting Executive Director of the Guam Ancestral Lands Commission. Thank you for this opportunity to testify in support of Governor Lou Leon Guerrero's nominations of both Mrs. Maria G. Cruz to continue to serve on the Guam Ancestral Commission, and to our newcomer, Mr. Jeffrey B. Reyes, to serve on the Guam Ancestral Lands Commission. And with the consent of the Guam legislature, their appointments will help us to meet our mission of administering the Guam Ancestral Lands Act in order that ancestral landowners, their heirs, and descendants may expeditiously exercise all the fundamental civil rights in the property they own, to provide just compensation for dispossessed ancestral landowners, and when appropriate, assist ancestral landowners in pursuit of just remedies. I look forward to Mrs. Cruz's reappointment and Mr. Reyes' appointment to the Guam Ancestral Lands Commission, and I thank them for agreeing to join us in this hard but rewarding work. Therefore, I humbly ask and request the legislature to move forward quickly in filling these commission positions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director. All right, so we'll begin with Ms. Cruz. Did you want to say a few words?
She's muted. She's muted.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
I am honored to be asked by the governor to continue as a member of the Guam Ancestral Land Commission. It's really a very rewarding, it's rewarding to be a member of this commission. On the every land signing ceremony, when all folks, bring up the past and what had happened to them, how their land was taken, and now here they see it being returned, I find myself crying with them. It's really become emotional, because we feel that it's a lot of work for the commission, but it's really rewarding. I've enjoyed my years of working with the Guam Ancestral Land Commission. There's still much work to be done. Yes.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your work, Mrs. Cruz. It looks like you've been a member of the Ancestral Lands Commission since 2002. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, and so I
was also a follower of the late Angel Santos, but that's why I was approached by the late at Beneventi, because working for this commission, it's really not the money, it's the involvement of being a part of the solution to what had happened to our people. So, we've gone unpaid for our servants for so many years. That didn't bother us. It was just a rewarding experience to work as a member of the commission. Thank you.
So you were on the commission when Ed Beneventi was the director?
Yes, I was.
Oh, that's great. We miss those guys very much. They had a lot of vision and were willing to work so very hard to get us to where we are today.
Can I just tell you my story back when I was really a land activist? I don't know if you remember the Familia and Felisa. Well, I was part of that organization. That's why my heart in continuing to assist in the return of the land, and I'm really dedicated to this commission.
Thank you. And thank you for your being an activist. I think this Ancestral Lands Commission and the return of excess land is because of activists like you and your families. So, Situs Masi.
Thank you too.
So I'm gonna ask you a few questions for the record, if that's all right with you. First is, do you have any continuing business or other interests that may be a conflict with you performing your duties as a member of the Guam Ancestral Lands Commission?
No, I don't. I do not.
I see you were a former assistant administrator for GURA.
Yes, for Section 8 assistant. I was actually manager and then also acting, doing the acting capacity of Section 8 programs.
Thank you. In your role as a commissioner in the past, what would you say has been your biggest challenge?
Well, our biggest challenge, I feel, as a team is that, getting having a stable, maybe staff. We just need to have more staff and in permanent positions. So, and we have a lot of work to do, such as continuing to lease out properties to generate income. We still have a balance of the remaining list of families that are that we have not given the land back to. We've tried a lot of outreach methods. So if I think that we're still going to continue, and then if we do not find these families, then we're going to have to find out what now. What do you want to do with these properties? Do you want to keep it under our inventory and put it as a crown land, or it's something for the senators to consider.
All right, I appreciate that. Yes, and I think it's worth one more try, right? At the very least, find families, and so we're going to work together with her and the commission to give it our all.
Right.
I'm going to ask you something that I asked the other nominees a couple weeks ago, and this is regarding an FY 2018 audit. So the audit of the Ancestral Lands Commission by the Office of Public Accountability said that FY 19 audit. So it says that FY 19 revenues were at 6 million, which was an increase from FY 18 due to the increase in base lease rental resulting from the settlement agreement with AT&T. This is one of the properties that the ancestral land leases out. And the audit reported an increase in expenditures by $900,000, due mainly to the increase of $725,000, or a 712% increase in management fees incurred by the Ancestral Land Commission for GIDA's services. GIDA's increased fees pertaining to AT&T lease payments amounted to $4.9 million. In the memorandum of agreement, GIDA retains a certain percentage of the rent collected as payment for lease management services. So the audit states that the commission was to reevaluate GIDA's role relative to its property management services on the leased properties. Have you participated in reevaluating GIDA's role in regards to this property, or is this something that's on the agenda for the Ancestral Land Commission?
Right now, it's on the table. It's something we're taking a look at because we don't have the manpower. So we need to take a look at what our staff is able to do, so we can take some responsibilities from GIDA. So that's on one of the table, things that we're looking at. So it's not completely off. It's just, it's in our back burner per se.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Well, I think that's very important because, again, just for those who are watching, any income that the commission receives could be, part of this inventory that we can use to compensate those landowners who will not be getting their properties back. And so it's very important how we manage that and what the ultimate goal is, and that we try to save costs wherever possible, because it's a trust. It's a trust for other beneficiaries. There was also a reported increase in salaries at that time of $100,000. Now, I know I'm not going to elaborate on this, but I want you to be very aware of it because, again, every dollar that is diverted from your inventory is something that cannot be used to bring justice to those landowners who cannot get their properties returned. And I know that the budget for Ancestral Lands Commission that we passed recently, that is pending the governor's action, is very lean, maybe too lean, and they are using some of your income from these leases to, for operations. So I just want to impress upon you to please be very active in scrutinizing the operations and the costs, because again, this money is it's a trust, right? And we want it to its intended beneficiaries.
All right. That will be included in our report on our president pending. We have a list of pending things that needs to be done, and of course the response to that audit. So we need to address that.
Yes, I think so. And and so there's also some, it looks like there's some recent issues, disagreement with BBMR with the actions of the commission and the legal opinion of Assistant Attorney General, who advised the commission has authority to deposit funds from the AT&T leases and for operational purposes. I think we need to settle that, whether, some of these funds are exempt from being used for operational purposes.
Okay,
are you familiar with that issue? Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Do you feel like the commission, as a commissioner, you are equipped to handle the controversies that come up? Because, we're a very small community. So when the controversy comes up between landowners or between, those who are getting property back and those who are not getting property back, I mean, do you feel like you're equipped to handle that type of pressure and that type of controversy?
No, we do need more staff. We have not too long ago, I think for the last budget, we had asked for, we had approved more positions so that we can better accommodate or better assist in claimants in, submitting of documents or whatever they need that our staff is able to assist.
All right. Okay, I understand. I hear that. I think my colleagues hear that too. They need more staff, and I understand how you intend to use them. So I appreciate that. I'm going to open it now to my Vice Chair, Senator Therese.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good evening, Mary Cruz. Thank you for
Good evening, Senator Therese.
Thank you for accepting the nomination, and thank you for all your service. These past decade and plus.
Thank you.
And I think it must have been a great experience to work alongside the late Ed Benedetti and many of our activists that really set the created this, helped found this very important commission.
Thank you.
Yeah, so just, I think the chair covered a lot of the questions, and I know she's, she's much in a way an activist herself in this way. But I'm wondering, in regards to excess lands, have you heard anything about the potential of the federal government actually transferring some of the lands over to Guam?
Well, we do have. I need to take to check with our current director for that list, because I'm aware of some of the properties, not all of it, and so I'm not too sure what what happened to that list and what's the last progress on that properties being returned to Guam ancestral land. But I will make a follow-up.
Okay, great. So yeah, I guess that's important to know, and to also figure out who, if there are, potential landowners that can receive these excess lands.
I am aware that some of those are this landowners, because they've approached us to make a follow-up on what's happening on those unused lands.
Okay, great. In regards to federal excess lands, is there any kind of due diligence done to ensure that the lands are toxin-free, or is there any procedures in place to ensure that the lands are, toxin-free, or at least,
Well, it is, Senator, it is my understanding that before these lands are returned to Guam, that they're supposed to be toxin-free. Well, that is really not correct, because we've been finding problems later on, which had to be, addressed. So, like I say, it's my understanding that before it's returned, it's toxic-free. So we still, of course, before it's returned to the original landowners, there's really has not been a problem. It's only on those crown lands that it happened, but I don't recall any of those being on original landowners that we returned. So, but we are still, keeping that in mind, to make sure it's toxic free. But we don't. It's really, we don't go out of our way to make sure that like I said, it's only, I think, one or two areas that we found that had a problem, but these properties are not, we were not returned to the original landowners. They are under our crown lands.
Okay, and were you able to get some services to remediate it, or did you have to do it?
Yes. No, we had the services of the military. So that's still pending. There's still, I think it's been over 4 years. So they submit a report. They have a budget to clean it up. So, but we do receive a yearly report, if not quarterly. But we will make a follow-up on those.
Okay, great. Are those documents available? Are they publicly available?
Oh, yes, they are. That should be.
And is it on the website, or would it have to be?
I don't think it's on the website, but I'll check with the staff. If you want that provided, then check with the staff.
Okay, thank
I'll
you.
check with the staff.
I appreciate that. Just one more question. So in regards to trying to locate the landowners, for the list of lands that are in your inventory, that so what do you think is the barrier in trying to locate the original landowners?
I'm not too sure what the barriers are. I know that we've according to the staff, we've asked the village mayors, excuse me, and this newspaper. We spend a lot of money on the posting, and because we want to make sure that we've done every effort to contact these families. So, and we want to document that we really did try. So, but I really do not know what else to do. Maybe maybe we should think of creating a website, on a list of owners that or properties that are unclaimed. Include that on our website. So that's a thought.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm just thinking maybe a lot of them have moved off island, and using the social media might be very helpful.
I do know that we had somebody from a club in San Diego who provided a listing, to the club members. So that was also one of the outreach that we had done.
Okay. All right. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Maria, and thank you again for your hard work and perseverance through it all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Hagula Center.
Thank you, Vice Chair Perez. Senator Shelton?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'm really just here listening. I appreciate the testimony. I have no questions at this time, but I do very much thank you for your service and for answering the call to continue serving here. So, Sujus Masi.
Thank you.
Senator Taitigui.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hi, Mary, and I wanted to make sure. Hi, I wanted to make sure I was here for you on your confirmation hearing.
Thank you, Senator.
You've been with GALEC for so long, so many years, and dedicating yourself, your time to this board is commendable and deserves much respect. I thank you so much for your continued support and crossing your T's and dotting your I's down there. And anyone coming in new, the wealth of knowledge that you have is priceless, really priceless.
Thank you so much.
You definitely have my support, Mary, and take care. And like our good oversight chair said, anytime you need us, we're here. If there's any time you need to talk, okay, or have some ideas coming through, my door is always open. Thank you.
I really appreciate that. Thank you.
That.
Ms. Cruz, thank you again for being here today. I know you weren't feeling well earlier and got your voice back, so I'm so glad you're able to.
Drank a lot of hot tea and soup.
And I know that the commission kind of lost all its members all of a sudden, and so they really need you back. They need both of you to get back to work. So I just wanted to, because we were talking about, the net negative about the land return or the land policy of the Department of Defense going forward. And I wanted to just read an excerpt from, so this is a June 2017 report to Congress on the status of the net negative policy regarding Navy acreage on Guam. And so they reported that the following summary of land transfers are completed, in progress, or projected. And this includes parcel behind South Binagazan Housing, Route 1, Route 4, Tangisan Power Plant, Harmon Substation Annex, PD Power Plant and Substation, Upper Heights Lot 402-1, Agana Power Plant and Substation, Army Corps Engineer ORP Maui Tunnel, Tamuning, Route 1 behind Old Telex, parcel south of Camp Covington, parcel 7, NCTS Nictam's Beach Lot adjacent to Tangisan Power Plant, Hoover Park, I think this is also called USO, parcel C, Marbo Cave, and the Marbo School site. So that was a report to Congress from the Department of the Navy in 2017. And then in 2018, GITA also wrote a report on the potentially releasable federal land in November 2018. using this Navy's report from 2017, but they give credit to the Ancestral Lands Commission for helping them to compile this list of property that is, according to GITA, requested for return to Gulf Guam. So it includes some of those from the list, and I think you can tell some of those are not accomplished yet, and we are still waiting, and we are relying on you, commissioners, to also, help us to advocate for the prompt and swift return as was envisioned of those properties and more. So there are more on the list of the request, and I think I'm just going to, I guess I won't read it. I'll put it up on my website, but this is all, from GITA's documents, but so some of them overlap, but there are other properties that GITA has also requested to be returned. And so those I think are still not returned, obviously, but we still need to work together on that.
That's
all right. So again,
thank you.
Ms. Cruz, again, thank you for accepting the reappointment to this commission and for all the hours that you have put in already in serving the ancestral landowners and in serving the people of Guam and in bringing justice. And I know that there are some challenging times ahead of you because some of these decisions are not going to be easy. They're going to be very difficult. We can't bring full justice because we can't return all the lands.
Right.
So we're going to have to make some tough decisions and try to do, something else that will bring at least a partial justice to these landowners.
Okay.
And so thank you again for your commitment.
Thank you, senators and all the senators. Thank you very much.
We'll move now to our, it's 6:55. We're going to move now to the appointment of Jeffrey B. Reyes and Guam Ancestral Lands Commission. This is, Mr. Reyes, this is your first appointment to this commission. So I thank you for your willingness to serve on this commission. And it's one of those that does a lot of work, and it's tough work and very detailed, and you carry the weight on your shoulders of trying to bring justice where sometimes it's just very, very difficult. So I thank you for your willingness to be on this board. I see in your resume that you are a Ritchie Brothers auctioneer for new and used heavy equipment sales, worldwide public auctions of heavy equipment for construction, transportation, agriculture, and other industries. And that you are a president of the Guam International Raceway Motorcycle and ATV Club and Motocross Racer, and sole proprietor of AW Auto Detailing. And I want to thank you for bringing your experience in all of those areas and your business experience in general to this commission. And the commission is dealing with some of the largest leases on Guam. And so I think we do need some very good, business decisions to be made. I'm going to ask you a couple questions, Mr. Reyes. I'm so sorry. I'm going to hear from you first before I ask you anything else. So your turn. If you have anything to say to the senators, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate the time. I know it's late, running a little late, but I appreciate and other senators as well, Madam Co-Chair as well, and Senator Kaidagui and Senator Shelton. Thank you so much, and Mr. Birch as well, Director. I've had the honor of spending a little bit of time not on the phone with him, and learned quite a bit about the Guam Ancestral Lands Commission and its mission, and I'm excited. My wife can attest to the fact that work is not a problem. I like to work, and I bring it home. So having a Zoom meeting at home is okay because I like to bring my work home, so it's okay. I know that you shared a bunch of issues, a lot of things that I have already. Mr. Birch and I have discussed quite a few of those things already, and I am excited to work with Ms. Cruz. I can't wait. I spent some time with Mr. Birch, and I've learned so much from him. So I can't wait to actually sit on the board or actually meet with the members, and especially some of the veterans, Ms. Cruz. I can't wait to sit with her and kind of, pick at her brain and see the challenges. I see what the challenges could be, and I don't. It's going to be some tough decision making. I see all of that coming. But I think once we have the rules and regulations in place, and once we have a proper staff, with some great land analyst people, that I think that we'll be able to really dig into what the commission's mission is, and really accomplish that with the right team. I know that it is about getting the people back what is due to them, but it's a very, very sensitive, very difficult thing to do, and I know it won't be easy. I'm ready for the challenge, but in all fairness, of course, I'm ready for the challenge. I know it's going to be tough. I've read of some other places where the kind of issues they're having with their economic growth versus just giving the land back to the people, and that seems to be, a challenge. So. But I think if we stick to the mission, I think we'd be fine. So, independent mind, we'll see what happens when the time comes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rios. Because you have been eligible to be on this board, that means you or your family are ancestral landowners as well. And was your property returned already?
No. The properties that my grandparents, my father, are all in that Radio Barrigada area, and property that's being used today. So, I don't think there'll be any returns to those properties because they're being used. But that's what everyone is having, those problems, and we're just part of that. So, I'd like to see what we can do about it.
All right. Well, thank you again for your enthusiasm and willingness to do the hard work that it's going to take. I'm going to ask you a couple questions, all right, to put on the record. Do you have any continuing business or other interests that may be a conflict with you performing your duties as a member of the Ancestral Lands Commission?
No.
Will there be any challenges to you attending commission meetings, considering your current profession and involvements?
Not at all.
All right. Are you familiar with some of the disagreements that the board has had?
Well, I am aware of some of the things that have happened in the past, and I think after hearing some things and reading some things, reading some of the reports, I think that ultimately, it's although the agency needs the money to run, I think that I personally think that it should be, funded by the government, but the money should all go back to the people, and that's just how I feel about it. Unfortunately, although it seems like there's a lot of money there's a lot more people than there is money. So when the time comes for decisions to think about how we could most benefit the heirs, I think that is when the time comes to listen to the stakeholders and not put all those decisions in the hands of us, but we should reach out to the stakeholders in forms of public hearings and listen to what they have to say, because it's their land, it should all be their money. So they should have a say on how they get it.
Well, I appreciate that I think the commission could use, reevaluation of its inviting input, from the landowners themselves. And I know that they've had some very tough and very strong differences of opinion. And but in the end, we all have to work together, and we just have to try our best. So I'm hoping that you can keep an open mind and that you can be resourceful enough to please never settle for one version of the story, because there are going to be other versions, and I think you can do a better job if you can seek out all different versions of that, and why people are so kind of entrenched in sides sometimes. But yeah, I think we need to be very careful about that, and be always willing to work together. So I'm looking forward to you again serving on this board. I'm going to ask Senator Vice Chair Perez if you had any questions.
Yes, yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. So welcome, Jeffrey, and thank you for accepting this nomination. So just a quick question. I did hear from, I believe it was Lillian Posadas in one of the public hearings stating that there might be a hospital, there was plans of building the hospital in the Radio Barrigada area. Have you heard about this potential, development?
No, I have not heard that at all.
So I'm just wondering, considering that perhaps there might be in this, yeah, and in regards to returns of federal excess lands, in this case, as as a potential commissioner, how would you address this issue, considering that it might impact you and your family in regards to return of excess lands?
Well, I think you have to look at, I guess, how would the people most benefit from this. I mean, could we use another hospital? Of course. Could we use another park? Of course. We have lots of people on Guam, and there are lots of services that we could use. I think that that would be a tough decision. Of course, I'd have to really think about that. But I really think that, how would the island and the people benefit most? Now, if it were, I don't know. I guess I'd have to really think about that. I really have to put that through some thought and think about the other property owners as well, and what their thoughts were on that. But I would like to hear from them. I'd like to hear from the people.
Okay, great, yeah. Yes, yeah, that's just one of the issues that hits close to home, right? If this is something that, could benefit your family and perhaps, or benefit the community. So yeah, again, it's really up to the families. I feel that, they should have the decision making. And of course, there's a lot of contention within families. So it's very difficult to arrive at those solutions. What about the land bank rules? Have you had a chance to look at the latest draft of it?
I didn't look at the latest draft, but I do know about the land bank. And I think that all the monies from the land should go to the land bank, and that's it. The land bank was set up to make payments to some of these families who've been, these dispossessed families. So I think that the money in those land banks, that's what it's for. That's where it should go. I don't see where else it should go. It should go back to the people.
In regards to selling Crown lands, what is your position on that?
Well, I think if it just depends on how in the rules and the regulations when they get established, how that money is to be dispersed in the event of a sale of a Crown land. I think that we need a lot of crown lands to get a lot of money back to the people. And so I think selling it, if it's going to go to the people, would be great. That's how it should be set up. I think trying to figure out how that money is going to go to some of those dispossessed proper landowners, like especially the ones like at on the bases or the airports, or those ones they're just never ever going to see their land again. I don't know how the commission, but I'm going to be a part of it. So I would like to see how we entertain that, and how the commission comes to an understanding with the help of the people, of course.
So are you in favor of selling or leasing crown lands?
I think leasing the land would be a longer term return for the families. But again, it depends on the investment it depends on who's investing and what the purpose of it. Like take for an example the Tengisan power plant, for an example. I think that property gets returned. To open it up to a park would be great. Bring it back to the park it used to be. That'd be a great idea. But I think might not be a bad idea even to think of some other opportunities. But again, it's just we bring the idea to the people, let the people decide if that's what they want to do with these lands. But like those properties that are crown lands, no registry, there's nothing list who owns them. So we should try to do something with it that'll get their people back, the most that they can. And so if we were to sell it and an investor paid, $20 or $30 million for that area down there, and still we're able to pay a percentage of whatever money they bring in other forms of taxing, and the money and the additional taxing that goes into that specific property goes back to the people. Why not? But again, the people need to hear these ideas. The people need to think about these ideas. The landowners need to think about these ideas. And if they feel like this is going to be something that they be starting to get some benefit back, and maybe it might not be such a bad idea. But I think with the amount of people that are on that registry and the amount of money that the land bank has right now, there just isn't enough in there for any of these families to do anything with that money. So something needs to be done, and it's up to the commission, and I'm looking forward to working with the commission, with the rest of the group, and hopefully coming to some kind of ideas that's going to work for the people.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rios.
I hope that helped you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chair Perez, Senator Perez. And I wanted to express for both of the nominees that Senator Will Castro expressed his support, and he wanted to let me know, wanted me to let you both know that, and that he had a conflicting appointment that he had to go to right now. And but he supports both of your nominations. So now Legislative Secretary, Senator Shelton.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair Hoffaday. Mr. Rios, congratulations on your appointment. Thank you very much. I was very impressed by your remarks tonight. I think that you have a good grasp of the issues, the reality that the Ancestral Lands Commission is faced with, and your willingness to work hard to add value to this commission and to continue its efforts. I am appreciative of that, especially you yourself being from a family of original landowners. I understand that you have the drive to continue to work vigorously for for the people and do what's most beneficial for the people, bringing the information to them and making the hard decisions that you need to make. And so with that, Mr. Reyes, you do have my support, and the other nominee as well. I'm sorry I missed a lot of her testimony and questioning, but I do appreciate both of you and your willingness to serve the people of Guam in this capacity. It is not like a glamorous job to do or something that many people want to do, and so we have to give you thanks for being willing.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Senator. And Senator Taitigui, you're recognized.
I see you smiling, Jeff. I've known Jeff and his family for many, many years. Grew up with his brother and went to school together. And one thing I do know about this family is they're hardworking individuals. They are very hardworking. And wow, to take time out, Jeff, to serve on this board. Yeah, I know you're a dedicated individual. So it's going to take a lot of time. And I hear your passion. I know it's very difficult to answer some of these questions, but one thing I appreciated was that it's important to get the input from all the other landowners or properties was taken away from them. It's so important to listen to them. And I like that about you, Jeff, that you want to incorporate them. It's not a one-man show. It's everybody. But I have a question, and I'm not sure about this, but when he was talked to, Senator Therese was asking you about, selling a piece of property or not being able to get back. But Chamorro Land Trust has these properties that they lease or they have individual properties. If, like you said, some of the lands will never come back to that individual. I mean, probably they'll never see it. So either they get compensated financially for money for it. But is there any opportunity, because a lot of them don't want the money, they want land. What can you do for those individuals who they don't want any money, they want some land? What does the Ancestral Lands Commission do in that case, or how can you compensate those individuals?
Well, Madam Vice had asked me what my opinion was about the sale or the leasing of crown lands, and now that you mentioned this, Senator, I would think that it's not a bad idea neither to think of doing some land trades for some of those people that have lost their land on Navy and Anderson and many other places, lots of places. But I think that it wouldn't be a bad idea to maybe consider some of those crown lands as some of those land returns. But the Chamorro Land Trust Commission as well is also wants to do that as well, right? I think that they want to take crown lands and give them to land for the land list and things like that. So there's we're both kind of like fighting for, well, that's what it looks like, is we're both kind of fighting for these crown lands. What can the Guam Ancestral Lands Commission do with it to generate funds to come up with either the funds be used for administratively because they don't have the support that they really need. I mean, we know that hearing Miss Cruz, there obviously is not enough people in that office to do what this office needs to do, and us commission members, with of course all your blessings. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be great work, rewarding work, a lot of work, but I think that's a great idea. I think that it is something worth exploring. I just think that the Crown Lands return might look like this, but the registry list is, you probably can't see it on my screen, but it's huge. And so that's going to be the other problem that the commission is going to be faced is, when those monies come and they're ready to be levied out, who's going to get them? when those crown land comes, and if we ever thought that we were going to give them back and if there ever comes to be a decision, of course, how are we going to do that? And with the blessings of the senators making being able to use some of this money by law for administrative support, for more land analysts and administrative support. I mean, there's a lot of work over there. We're not staffers, right? But there is a lot of work to be done there, and my appointment is I appreciate the governor and lieutenant governor for putting me in to do this work, but I want to do this work and I want to do something and produce something in the 4 years that I'm here, and I just think that if I'm unable to do that, I don't know if that's I want to be able to do something. I just want to make a difference, and I want to make a difference for the people. So thank you very much, Senator.
And I'll leave it at that. Well said. You have my support, Jeffrey. But please give my best to the family.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Mr. Reyes. Mr. Reyes, my staff is sending me messages that you are the one that was in the newspaper in 2018 for helping to solve or stop retail thefts and dedido. So I want to say, wow, we have a hero in our midst. Thank you for that and for your continued service to our community. And I'm looking forward to having more of these discussions, but actually to get the work done. And I'm with you. Let's get it done, and we'll work together. And again, Director Birch, thank you very much for hanging with us this whole night and hearing the full discussion. And I know you've got your work cut out for you over there, and with the staff challenges, we'll get through it. We'll see what we can do. We'll do what we can. And again, so to both of Mr. Reyes and Ms. Cruz, and to all of the Ancestral Lands Commissioners, and to the Director, again, a lot of work, but you're bringing justice to the people. So, Sidus Maasi. Thank you very, very, very much. All right, and so it is 7:20, and there being no additional individuals to present for the testimony, the committee will consider these appointments duly heard, and the public hearing is now adjourned. 7:20 p.m. Si Diyos maasi, basta Diyos.